What's up, guys? So today's video is just going to be about if you feel like you're failing in life, if you feel like you're kind of stuck on this failure curve, that's fine, because where you are right now, that means that you can actually flip this around and start going onto the upward curve of success. You don't have to stay where you are. You don't have to keep going down on the failure curve. If you're aware of that and that's where you think that you're at, then that's fine, because you can totally flip this around. And let me show you some examples of what I've done on the whiteboard here in my life, but what really made it click for me. Now, if you want to have an action step that you can do right now, then you can pause the video or even do it while I'm talking. And that is going to be write down, whether it's on paper, in your phone, on your laptop, just write down my failures at the top as the heading. And then think about all the things that are your perceived biggest failures. So what do you think are your biggest failures in life? What are the things you've done that you think is a failure? Once you've done that, continue watching the video. So I'm going to talk you through some of mine, because the funny thing that happened for me when I was doing this is I was sitting down thinking, what are my biggest failures? What are my biggest successes? What are my biggest accomplishments? And then the things that come to mind easiest for me were the failures, right? So I just started writing a list of all my failures so I can share my experience and then try. And this was really just for me to try and pinpoint what happened, what it was, and why did I fail at this. And it came down to three major things, which I'm going to share with you shortly. But first, I'm just going to touch on a couple examples from myself, and it might help you get your brain going. And there's plenty more in life that I didn't add on here, but just some main ones, and I'll show you on the board here. So for me, at the time, I didn't see these as successes, right? But maybe in the moment when I launched them, it actually was a success. So first of all, this was my failures list: drop shipping. Now, I started off maybe 4 or 5 years ago drop shipping. I just bought things from AliExpress or Alibaba, chucked them on eBay. At the time, it wasn't a failure because I sold them. I made a little bit of profit, but I didn't hit this amount, this goal that I had in mind, and therefore I perceived it as a failure. Now, I had drop shipping on eBay. Drop shipping, I did a few different courses, and I built maybe 3 different Shopify websites at the time. Some items sold, some items didn't, and then I moved on to the next thing. So I created my own products, my own clothing brand from Alibaba. I bought t-shirts, designed clothing, and I ordered maybe 200 pieces. I sold maybe 50 of them. I still had like 100 sitting in my garage at home. So I, at the time, was really excited. I saw this as success. Yes, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna try this new thing. I did this, got some feedback, got some sales, but I didn't hit the amount that I wanted to hit, or didn't move it in the time frame that I wanted to do it. So I perceived that as a failure and moved on to the next thing. The next thing was a boutique shop. So I actually, looking back now, I had the balls to go, okay, I have the vision, I have this, I want to open this clothing shop, because in Canberra where I grew up, they did not have any designer boutiques with designer clothing. You had to get it online or go to Sydney to get it. So basically, I wanted to open my own designer store and also have blanks and our own brand there as well. So I just jumped into it. I had a look at other stores nearby, and I was like, if this random shop can pop up and still be in business after all these years, and the chick's just working there, working for herself, then I can do it as well. So I had the confidence to see someone else doing it and think that I could do it as well. So I had a look at some places, jumped into the lease and paid a deposit. And then I jumped into the store. We started doing our own fit out ourselves. So we just restyled it, basically painted this concrete effect on the wall. We got some clothing racks, we painted the floor, we did an office, built a desk, had a whiteboard up in there, had a whole plan, and I got a small loan and got some money in to buy designer stock. So from there, I bought some designer stock, just got it from Farfetch and StockX, which, you know, I didn't really know much about this space. I just thought, yeah, simple. We'll get the money, we'll get the stock, we'll put it in the store, we're gonna sell it, and we'll also have an online store so we can sell more of it as well and have a bigger reach. But I thought these brands would automatically bring people in. Now, we got everything ready, it was pretty much ready to launch, and then lockdown happened, some personal things happened at the time, and for me, this was a big test. So I think with everything that you try, you're going to have that testing moment where it's like, you're gonna have multiple tests, but it's a kind of a test to see if you really want it and how bad you actually want it. So with this, for me, this COVID opportunity came up. I was really unsure, not opportunity, but the opportunity for me to pull out came up because the contract I was in for the lease was a not a legally binding contract. So they couldn't come and chase me for the full amount because we weren't in a legally binding contract for the lease agreement. We were just in an agreement, something like that. So that was my only opportunity to pull out in these uncertain times. So I actually just got the whole thing set up and I decided, all right, I'm going to pull out because this could go downhill and it could just end up costing me more and more money. And coming into that shop, I did have in mind, what's the best outcome that could happen? The best outcome was I could be running my own shop, my own business, and then we could also do other things out of there, sell clothing, make money, achieve this dream that I had, this vision that I had. The worst case scenario was that we filed for bankruptcy, whatever, we can't pay back the loan, blah, blah, blah. And it almost got to that point, to be honest. To be completely honest, I thought that's the worst case scenario, it's not that bad. And it did get to the point where we were almost on bankruptcy and it almost was that bad. So anyway, moving forward, online coaching. In lockdown, I started some online coaching. I've been training for almost 10 years. I know some things, but I could definitely help people along their journey as well. And I thought I could use that opportunity through lockdown where people are probably feeling depressed, out of shape, and they want to get into shape to actually help people on a wider scale, because I've done it for myself. And there's people out there who would be happy to learn from me and be willing to pay for that service. So I launched that, had a couple of clients on, and one of them I really helped lose like 15 to 30 kilos. To be honest, he put in a lot of work himself before that and was really keen. Then we just got him on a consistent training plan and diet program. Anyway, moving forward, these things aren't seemingly failures, right? But to me, I was perceiving them as failures and moving on to the next thing. So because I didn't get as many clients as I wanted, or it hit another test point, it hit a test point where it gets hard, monotonous, and something that you need to push through, or a problem, I would look at a new shiny object and jump onto that rather than pushing through that and growing through that. So next thing, let's say podcasts. So over the years, I've tried to launch multiple podcasts, let's say 3, and not even tried to, I've launched them. I've put episodes out, I've recorded episodes with a mate, with guests, and on my own. And yeah, created the image, got mics, learned how to use mics, learned how to edit it, learned how to use the software, put it out. So to me, it's not a failure because I'm building all of these skills, but because it didn't hit what I wanted it to hit in a time frame that I thought it would, or I just didn't follow through with it, I perceived it as a failure at the time. Now, my mindset has switched because I can see the value and the experience and the knowledge that I've gained, the skills that I've gained through doing these things, that they're not actually failures. Let me continue though. And multiple podcasts, and I will come back to them and pick them up and put a bit more time and effort into them. And I know that that's going to make them grow. And it's something that I'd be keen to do moving forward, but just not yet. Next, 75 Hard. If you don't know about 75 Hard, it's basically this mental toughness challenge that has fitness components, educational components, and dietary requirements. So it's basically this challenge with 5 things. You have to drink 10 gallons, 5 gallons of water. What? You have to drink 1 gallon of water per day, 2 workouts a day, stick to a diet, no cheat meals, no alcohol, take progress picture every day, and read 10 pages of an educational or personal development type of book every single day for 75 days. If you fail on any of those, you have to start again. So the first time I did it, I was 42 days deep into it, feeling good, looking better, mentally stronger. I was literally getting all the benefits and also feeling tired and drained from it at the same time, because for me, I didn't really focus on things for that long of a period of time, that with that discipline for that amount of time. And then it came to a work Christmas party. For some reason I went. Most work Christmas parties have a bar tab, so you know you can have unlimited drinks. I asked my mate to just grab me a Coke Zero. Comes back with a beer, and now beer is not that tempting for me. I don't really want to, but the fact that I went there to the party in the first place is meaning I was giving into some level of temptation, and part of me, of course, wanted to drink, so I was battling myself, and then there's outside influences that were kind of pushing me to that other side, and I ended up failing, drinking alcohol. I got smashed that night, ended up spewing, wasn't really worth failing the challenge over in the end. But anyway, that was a perceived failure, but I discounted, because I thought, oh, it's a failure, I failed 42, and it's true, I did fail at day 42, and I had to restart the challenge again. But I discounted those whole 42 days that I was successfully doing the challenge and how far I had come in that time. So, okay, move on to the next one. For me, I bought an apartment maybe 4 years ago, and it seemed like a good buy at the time. It was definitely one of those things, those boxes that you check off and you're feeling like quite successful, like it's a success at the time. Basically, during COVID, times got a bit tough. We mismanaged the finances with that, and things started to go on the failure curve, on the downhill, and basically I perceived that as a failure. So I wrote it down on the list, and now we're finally switching things around, and we're actually put the apartment up for sale. We're going to sell any debts, anything that's outstanding, and owing on that. So it's not actually a failure, but I perceived it as a failure at the time when I wrote this list. Now, marriage. Look, it's a hard thing. Basically got married. Obviously it feels like a success. That was about 5 years ago now, and I'm just going to touch on it briefly in this video. If you want to know more, then I'll do another video in the future. But basically, relationships are hard, right? And the same things that happened with all of these businesses or ventures, these things that I tried, is that I tried, and once it gets hard, once it gets to a point where it got hard, we decided this is not right and moved on to the next shiny object. So we actually separated for about a year, and I'm not going to go into details in this video. We ended up getting back together after a year, and we're back together now. And what I realized is this is all going to come full circle, but the same thing that happened with all of these things also happened with this thing. And trading was on there as well. I'm going to take it off. Basically a bit of forex trading through COVID, through lockdown. It always interests me. I like how the markets move, marking up charts, and the idea of making money from everywhere, the thing that sells everyone. And these people try to post photos on vacation with their Lamborghini, with their sports cars, trading on the go, and most of them are lying, but some of them I'd say are making money, but 90% plus are not making money full-time trading. Now, that's not the reason for this video. I'm going to show you guys, that's just a short example of some of the things from my experience that were my perceived failures, and how I actually managed to switch this around is the law of polarity, right? So the law of polarity states that there are two sides to everything, negative and a positive. There's an opposite for everything. So everything that I perceived as a failure in my life can actually be perceived as success as well. Now, drop shipping Maybe it didn't hit the level that I wanted to hit, but I successfully started a dropshipping store. I successfully educated myself in that space, took action on it, and made sales in there. I successfully made some profit, even if it wasn't the amount that I wanted to make. And I can go through each one of these examples and see how it was actually a success as well as a failure. So it might be a bit weird to wrap your head around at first, but a way that I do this as well, right? That helped me. If you can see this, pick out one event. See how is it possibly a success as well? How could this be perceived as a success? If this is a failure to me, how could it be seen as a success? And then go through and do that with all of those. And you'll see that you yourself, you here, you are not your experiences, right? You are not these events that happened. So you have successfully got to where you are now. If you're watching this video, then that means that you successfully made it to this point in life. You're alive. The body that you have successfully created that body. However it looks, however you're dressed, you have created that person. Whether you like it or not, you've done that successfully. Or you can look at it from a different perspective and you have failed to create that body that you want, but you've successfully got yourself to where you are now. So there's just different ways that you can look at it in your mind and reframe it. So first of all, I want to talk about this thing here. These are the metrics that I realize could be applied to any of these things that I've done to see them hit the success that I wanted it to hit. So for this example, I would say that success in my mind in any of these was just achieving a certain outcome in a time frame. And if I didn't achieve that outcome in the time frame, then it wasn't successful in my mind at the time. Now, if I applied any of these things to one of those, they could all be successful. And moving forward, they can be successful if you understand this. So the three levers that we have to play with are quantity, quality, and time. Let's pick out one thing, right? Let's pick out dropshipping. People are still making money today in dropshipping, but what's the difference between the people who are successful in it and the people who are failures in it? Let's say for me, because I didn't take it to the level that I wanted to take it, let's just say I failed at that and I'm a failure compared to someone who is making, let's say, 100,000 a year. Let's say that's just success, or 100,000 a month. There's people at different levels, right? Let's just say 100,000 a year. They're drop shipping. They're making that as profit and their income for the whole year, doing only drop shipping. There's people out there that are doing that. It's not that far-fetched. What's the difference with those people and the other people? The quantity, I would argue, the quality, and the time. They are doing more of it. They are learning more. They're spending more time doing more reps under the bar of whatever it is that they are doing. So drop shipping, they're in there, they're spending more time learning, trying products, running ads, playing around with the different variables that you can tweak to actually be successful in that. Which means the more quantity they do, the more reps they're getting in. Keeping in mind that you want to be doing higher quality reps. Just like in the gym, when you first learn, you learn from looking at people that actually know what they're doing, right? But then you can't actually learn without trying it, without doing the reps, seeing how it feels, and then adjusting. So acting, assessing, and adjusting from there to try and do the reps yourself, but you don't actually get to that place without putting in the reps. So the quantity, through quantity, we build quality, and with the quality and quantity over time, we will reach what we see as success or whatever goal we have in that area. So for all of these things that I saw as failure on the list, they all could have hit the dream outcome, the desired outcome, if I increased or applied all of these three metrics. If I did more of them, if I did them better, and if I did it for a longer amount of time. So obviously we're always going to try and be doing it better. So the more times we can practice, the more times we can do it, the better we're going to get at doing it. And then for the longer amount of time, we're going to be collecting more data points, more information, and more experience for us to improve. So any of those things that I tried, if I just picked one, decided, all right, this is going to be my main focus, applied these three things, then the failures or perceived failures are merely just steps along your journey that are going to reach to the success. So people say as long as you are failing forward, then you're not failing. And what they mean by that is like, your failures aren't really failures, but every time that you try something and it doesn't get you to the goal, or it doesn't work out the way you want it to, you just learned one more way that it doesn't work, and you've taken a step closer to what you're trying to achieve. As long as you've learned from that experience and use that as a data point, then you can use that information to keep moving forward to your desired outcome. Now, you decide how you see yourself. You decide whether you see yourself as a failure or a success. Your perception shapes your reality. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, guys. I hope that can help someone. I hope that can help you change what you're thinking right now. And a couple of questions you can ask yourself are, what are my biggest failures? How could I see these as successes? And what if I applied these three metrics, quality, quantity, and time? Would this have changed the outcome? I hope this could help you guys. Let me know what you think down below. And if you like this style of video, more to come. Take care. Peace.